My laboratory is interested in the genetic cause of hearing loss. Over the last 2 decades, we have been involved in positional cloning genes that lead to hearing loss and in studying their function. And we are really motivated here in 2 different ways. First of all, we would like, of course, to understand disease mechanism, and the genes will help us to do this. But then to do this really, we also have to understand the basic function of these genes, and that teaches us something on how the auditory sense organ works. So it's an interplay between this interest in the disease mechanism and the basic function of the genes that motivates us. I actually moved my laboratory about 4 years ago to Johns Hopkins, and a very strong motivational force for me was to come to an environment which has really top-notch auditory research, where I could, in my basic science department, interact with otolaryngologists in the clinical setting to do meaningful research for the patient. And already when I came here, the Rubenstein gift was established, but it allowed me to very quickly connect with the clinician and find ways to fund our common research. Mostly, and maybe surprising to you to hear, is our research that is funded by the NIH funds clinicians and basic scientists independently. And it is very difficult to get the 2 groups together and resource them in a way that they can achieve what they want to achieve scientifically and clinically. For these kind of situations, philanthropic gifts like the Rubenstein gift are extremely important. Now going forward, what we want to do really with the new Rubenstein gift goes into 2 directions. In one direction, we work very closely together with Daniel's son in otolaryngology and also with colleagues in biomedical engineering to fill up or to close a bottleneck in auditory the treatment of auditory diseases. And that is, we would like to find new ways to deliver pharmacological substances to the inner ear. For this purpose, we are developing nanobeads. These are manufactured by our biomedical engineers that we can load with cargo, medicine essentially, or genes for gene therapy, and introduce them into the inner ear. And so this work is very interactive, multidisciplinary, and a gift like the Rubenstein gift makes it really possible to bring these different forces on campus together. In a second project where we work closely with Angelika Dötzelhofer here at Hopkins too, we are very much interested in regenerative approaches. One of the key problems for the auditory sense organ is to maintain its sensory cells, the hair cells. The most common cause of hearing loss is failure of these sensory hair cells. And these cells you are born with, and you have to be there for your whole life. Now, when you think of an analogy of the skin, your skin gets sometimes broken and you can repair it. Well, we think cells, like hair cells, must have repair mechanisms. They can't be there for 70, 80, 100 years without repair. And we are using genomics approaches to find these repair pathways. For example, we identify transcriptional mechanisms which regulate the genome in situations of disease to see what genes are upregulated that may be related to repair pathways. Then we try to target these repair pathways for therapeutic purposes, that we can harness them in certain disease states. And again, this is a work that requires clinicians who really work with the patients and the basic scientists who do these genomic approaches to look for the disease mechanisms. I would like also to finish somewhat with a personal note. I think what is not to be underestimated is the true value of a personal gift like the Rubenstein gift. We are used to be funded by these big agencies, and it's very impersonal. A private person being willing to trust our work, to invest in what we do, for the good of the patient is a very strong motivational force. You have to imagine the students and postdocs in the laboratory which carrying out the research. They know there's a person behind them which invests in them. That's a very strong motivational factor for their work, and they want to deliver on that, far bigger than some arbitrary agency giving money. And of course, for us PIs, it's also very powerful that we have this support which enables us things to do which we couldn't do just with public funding.